Good day, welcome to Laura Reports. I'm Laura Burke. Today we're just going to be talking about the Charlie Kirk assassination. It's been 2 weeks since Charlie Kirk was publicly executed before the world. His wife Erica delivered a wonderful speech a couple of days ago to a entirely full football stadium full of celebrities and mourners alike. It was wonderful because I didn't watch the whole thing, but I saw when she spoke and said that she forgives the shooter, which is, if that happened to me, way early from where I would be still enraged. I mean, this woman is a woman of God, and I consider myself to be a woman of God, but I would hold tight to that anger for probably much longer than she has, so good for her. Charlie was survived by his wife Erica and his 2 small children. I believe they were 3 and 1. How awful to lose your father before you even got a chance to know him. And he'd been married for less than 5 years. Me and Ian just celebrated our 5-year anniversary, so I can't even fathom that, because I think that we have an incredibly long, healthy, happy relationship in front of us. And Charlie Kirk was younger than I was. I'm 38 and he was 31, and I still feel so young and like I have so much to give the world, as did he. So it really is horrendous and awful what happened to Charlie. There's been so much information found out since my last video, especially from the charging documents. So the nature of the shooter, his name was Tyler Robinson. He was 22 years old. He was from Washington, Utah. He was a 3rd-year student in electrical apprentice program at Dixie Technical College. Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, is seeking the death penalty, which I haven't quite solidified my thoughts on the death penalty. I'm in part in favor of it because I think people deserve that. But I think it's also kind of a cop-out. It's like you should live the rest of your life thinking about what you did wrong and suffering in a prison cell. But I also think that it is a strain on taxpayers' dollars. Like, it costs so much money to house people in prisons and take care of them. And also, even if you get a life sentence, it's not actually a life sentence. A life sentence is 25 years. That's nothing. A life sentence, like without parole, they're probably still getting out after 30 years. So I don't agree with that. I think a life sentence should be you're in jail until you die, but that is an incredible financial strain on taxpayers. So Tyler Robinson has not confessed and is not cooperating, but the people in his life are. We know that by all available evidence, people who knew him well say he was very left-leaning, especially recently. His parents came out saying that over the last couple of years that he had become more and more left while he was in college, which we all know that that's what campuses are doing to children these days. They're indoctrinating them into the left. Kash Patel said that he had left some sort of note saying that he had an opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and that he was going to. His family collectively told investigators that they are a Republican family and that they had watched him grow left over the past couple of years. The suspect had a furry fixation. If you do not know what furries are, I don't really. From what I think is that they're adults who are attracted to people dressed up in furry costumes, I believe. I'm not exactly sure if it's like anthropomorphized animals or people specific dressed up in costumes, but they fetishize animals. So fucked up. He owned the Furry Shades of Gay game on Steam. If you don't know what Steam is a platform which people buy or play games on a computer. He followed artists who drew explicit art of pedophiles. I don't know what that entails, but I had no desire to look into it further than that. He had a trans boyfriend. I'm not sure if the boyfriend was woman to man or man to woman. I'm not sure. I don't know. If you do know, please enter a comment below. And while I'm at it, please like and subscribe to this channel because I have very few subscribers and I do feel like a big, deep welling inside of me to do something. And this is all that I know how to do in order to create any semblance of change. So please support, like, subscribe. The police interviewed the boyfriend and we have the text messages right here. So I'm going to take a moment to read those text messages. So it starts off with Tyler Robinson, the killer, saying, "Drop what you're doing, look under my keyboard." The roommate said that when he did look under his keyboard, that there was a note that read, "I had the opportunity to take out Charlie Kirk and I'm going to take it." The roommate, the boyfriend, replied, "What? Question mark, question mark, question mark. You're joking, right?" The murderer said, "I'm still okay, my love, but I'm stuck in Orium for a while longer. Shouldn't be long until I come home, but I gotta grab my rifle still. To be honest, I had hoped to keep this a secret till I died of old age. I'm sorry to involve you." The boyfriend says, "You weren't the one who did it, right?" The murderer says, "I am. I'm sorry." The boyfriend says, "I thought they caught the person." The murderer says, "No, they grabbed some crazy old dude and then interrogated somebody in similar clothing. I had planned to grab my rifle from my drop point shortly after, but most of that side of town got locked down. It's quiet, almost enough to get out, but there's one vehicle lingering." The boyfriend says, "Why?" Robinson says, "Why did I do it?" The boyfriend says, "Yeah." Robinson said, "I had enough of his hatred. Some hate can't be negotiated out." The murderer says, "If I'm able to grab my rifle and scene, I will have no evidence left. Going to attempt to retrieve it again. Hopefully they've moved on. I haven't seen anything about them finding it." The boyfriend says, "How long have you been planning this?" Robinson says, "A little over a week, I believe. I can get close to it, but there's a squad car parked right by it. I think they've already swept that spot. I don't want to chance it." Robinson says, "I'm wishing I had circled back and grabbed it as soon as I got to my vehicle. I'm worried about what my old man would do if I didn't bring back Grandpa's rifle." IDEK, I don't know what that means. Probably, I don't know if it had a serial number, but it wouldn't trace to me. "I worry about Prince. I had to leave it in the bush where I changed outfits. I didn't have the ability or the time to bring it with me. I might have to abandon it and hope they don't find Prince. How the fuck will I explain losing it to my old man? The only thing I left was the rifle wrapped in a towel. Remember how I was engraving bullets? The explicit messages, the beep messages are only a big meme. If I see notices bulge UWU on Fox News, I might have a stroke, all right? I'm gonna have to leave it. That really fucking sucks. Judging from today, I'd say Grandpa's gun does just fine. I don't know. I think that was a $2,000 scope." And then the murderer, Robinson, says, "Delete this exchange." He continues, "My dad wants photos of the rifle. He says Grandpa wants to know who has what. The feds released a photo of the rifle and it's very unique. He's calling me right now. I'm not answering. Since Trump got into office, my dad has been pretty diehard MAGA. I'm going to turn myself in willingly. One of my neighbors here is a deputy sheriff. You're all I worry about, love. I'm much more worried about you. Don't talk to the media, please. Don't take any interviews or make any comments. If any police ask you questions, ask for a lawyer and stay silent." So I don't know if any of you guys watch Candace Owens, but she is very suspicious of these text messages for a number of reasons. The feds didn't release the timestamps on any of this, so it's obviously over the course of a period of time. Next, he uses weird language for a young 22-year-old. He says vehicle instead of car. And he said something else. I can't remember. So I don't want to think that there's some sort of conspiracy theory going on. I'm really hoping that it was just this man who worked alone that did this and there's not something deeper going on. So all of the slogans etched on the bullets were gamer or trans slogans. I read out something there that was like EWU. I have no idea what that means. I think it's a gamer code. His trans boyfriend joked about being mentally ill and bragged about being a Biden supporter online. Oh, his boyfriend was transitioning from male to female. Interesting. That means you're gay. if you have a penis and you're dating somebody with a penis, that's called being gay. This is confirmed. None of this is surprising. Obviously, it was someone on the left who shot and killed Charlie Kirk. Obviously, he had been indoctrinated to think that violence was the only way, because the left media keeps saying that the left are fascists and Nazis and Hitler, and the amount of calls to violence have gotten more and more and more. So obviously this was the next step. Tyler must have thought that Charlie was a threat to him and his boyfriend's way of life. The boyfriend has been completely cooperative with the police. It has been found out that Robinson also had an account on the website furaffinity.net, which has sexualized images of cartoon animal characters. The trans boyfriend is being looked at as a person of interest. He was receiving text messages saying, blah, 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 I left my rifle, can you go pick it up? And it was only when he was confronted by the police that he was like, oh, no, really? Oh, that's too bad. According to the New York Post, that's what they said. Robinson's online presence was a hodgepodge of liberal ideology and gamer humor. He was joking around with his pals on Discord, which is, I believe, a message it's like halfway between like Reddit and like a messaging platform for different, there's Discords for like, oh, if you're a fan of Taylor Swift, there's a Taylor Swift Discord. If you're a fan of games, there's a game Discord. And he said that his doppelganger was the one who shot Charlie Kirk. Last Thursday afternoon, one of his virtual buddies noticed there were similarities between Robinson and the killer, and he tagged Robinson saying, where are you at, with a skull emoji? And Robinson responded that he was being set up by a doppelganger to get him into trouble. And then in the same chat with a bunch of these gamers, someone said that he should turn himself in to claim the $100,000 reward. And he replied, only if I get a cut. And then they started telling jokes about Luigi Mangione, who, if you don't know, killed Brian Thompson, who was the CEO of United Healthcare in New York City. And many popular celebrities, people have actually not condemned that assassination as well because of capitalism, which I don't really understand why people hate capitalism. Like, our world wouldn't be full of the riches that we have without capitalism. Do you want to be rich one day? I bet you do. Do you know what'll help you on the way there? Capitalism. Nobody wants to be a socialist. Well, people do, but they're dumb and they don't know what they're going into, and it sounds like they're lazy if they want socialism. Anywho, it was only when Tyler was confronted by his parents that he admitted it. So the shooter's mother said that over the last year, Robinson had become more political and started to date his roommate. And this led to a conversation between him and his father, who had different views. And in one such conversation, Tyler Robinson's father said that Charlie Kirk was going to be having an event at the University of Utah. And Tyler said that that was a stupid location and that Kirk spread hate. So after the shooting, Robinson's father saw a photo of the shooter and thought that it looked like his son. And then he saw a photo of the rifle, and it looked like the one that had been given to his son as a gift from his own father, Robinson's grandfather. So his dad texted Tyler asking for a picture of the rifle, and he never responded, as we can see between Tyler and his boyfriend's text messages. So Robinson's father spoke on the phone eventually with his son, and Tyler said that he was planning, to kill himself. His parents convinced Tyler to meet up with them at their house, and as they discussed all of this that went down, and he admitted to his parents that he had been the one that shot Charlie Kirk, he said that he couldn't go to jail and he wanted to just commit suicide. So when they asked if he did it, Robinson explained that there was too much evil and that Charlie Kirk spread too much hate. his parents convinced him to speak with a family friend of theirs who used to be a sheriff. And I'm not exactly sure how that happened, but I think the sheriff convinced, and his parents convinced him to turn himself in. On a side note, Charlie had said the week before he died, he was on Megyn Kelly. And a part of this that's been really hard is watching all of his friends' reactions. Like, a lot of these people do what I do now. They're on YouTube. They are filming podcasts or news outlet stories that go on YouTube. So their day-to-day consists of being filmed in a studio with a bunch of other people. So you can see Joe Rogan.
Should we bring this up? I guess we have to. So this just happened. We just found out that Charlie Kirk got shot.
It's fucking awful.
And is he dead?
No, I don't think so.
That's what was just...
One of the guys out there just said it was confirmed that he's dead.
In the lobby was just...
I've been looking. I haven't seen anything that said confirmed.
Whoa.
Murder for having a different opinion from somebody else.
Yeah.
Different ideology from somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know.
Beliefs that didn't align.
Did it or...
Yep.
I'm sorry?
Dead?
Yep.
Rest in peace.
We're in
Fuck.
Fox News.
Jeez.
Megyn Kelly.
There are news outlets reporting the worst right now, Glenn. I don't know what I'm waiting for before I report it. You know, I trust just the news. I trust Deseret. What are we waiting for, like, the AP to say it? We don't trust them more than we trust these. They're reporting that Charlie has died. That he's dead. At the age of 31.
And others finding out, Theo Vaughn, that Charlie was shot and he was assassinated and he ended up dying from his wound. And it's just heartbreaking because Megyn Kelly was very close to him. So Charlie said that he was being pressured by people that he knew who were attacking him about his stance on Israel. So I wish I knew more about history. I was not a very good student. I was really focused on acting and my friends and having a good time and gym class. And now, later in life, I've really seen kind of the gaps in my knowledge, especially because my boyfriend's really smart. Like, he went to a very prestigious school in England, and he went on to get a degree, multiple degrees, and he was an engineer, and he's very smart. So now, when people talk about the wars, the history of Israel and Palestine, unfortunately, I have gaps in my knowledge. So I've spent at different points in time over the last year trying to learn about the war, how it started, who fought it, yada yada yada. And there's so much information, it's actually tough. And so I've been trying to educate myself on the history of Israel and Palestine. I'm going to do a whole episode on it because I've done hours and hours and hours on the history of Israel and Palestine. And it's kind of shocking to me how the left has chosen this stance of free Palestine because they're not in the right. Like, that's Israel's land. Israel should have that land. And with all of over the years, Israel offered Palestinians, Arabs, so many concessions and so many ideas to be a two-party land, two-party state, two-state, something like that. And every single time they turned it down. They said, no, we want you destroyed. No, we will take all of your land, but we're still going to attack you anyways. Like, there was no compromise at all. It was very much like, our mission from God is literally to just kill you. So I'm shocked at the amount of support that Palestine has, when in all my research, that land, a lot of that land, some of that land at least, definitely belongs to Israel. And Israel and Hamas started the genocide, right? Like, everyone's like, it's a genocide of Palestinians. No, it's a war that has gone back thousands of years, but this current iteration was started by Hamas, a terrorist group. I'm going to do a whole other video on that. Anywho, Charlie was very pro-Israel, as he should be. And he was being pressured, and his character was being called into question, and he was getting a lot of really nasty text messages from people that he was interviewing, people in his life, politicians. I don't know. We don't know who these people are, that were saying that he shouldn't be pro-Israel, that he should not allow certain people to Turning Point events, which was his company, and how could Charlie allow people like Tucker Carlson on stage. And I think this is a really important point, where there always has to be an allowance to speak to whoever. Like when Trump went and sat down with Putin, and people were like, how could he possibly go and sit down with Putin? How else are you supposed to figure things out without violence, rather than going and talking to your opponent and discussing it and coming to some sort of agreement? That is how you do it. Politics is not for the weak. You know, you have to be strong enough to hold strong to your beliefs, and you also have to be strong enough to sit down with someone whose beliefs you don't agree with and have a decent conversation and have it not lead to violence, which is exactly how Charlie was killed. So I've been watching a lot of, obviously, these Republican creators. So, and one of my favorite is Ben Shapiro, who's also a Jew. So Ben Shapiro made an absolutely amazing point on his show that the political left has created these permission structures for violence. So what a permission structure is because they've continuously said over the last couple of years that Trump is a Nazi, Elon Musk is Hitler, Charlie Kirk is a fascist and racist, that creates permission to attack that person. That creates permission by the media to, because I'll insert a clip here, but a bunch of different leftist reporters who are literally calling for violence, saying, I would punch him in the face, I would do that, he deserves to die, like on and on and on. So when something like this happens and people act surprised, obviously that's going to happen, because the legacy media, which, if you don't know what the legacy media is, it's CNN, BBC, CTV, MSNBC, Fox News. It's all of the media that has a legacy on TV, because now in the 21st century we're on YouTube. There's different avenues for media. So the legacy media is like television media, from what I understand it to be. And the political left has, in all of their time, created permission for people to rise up against the right, and that allows violence. So Ben Shapiro talks about how there's only a couple ideologies that breed violence, and they all have the same features in common. So one is that they have a conspiratorial worldview. Two is that there's this, shadowy cabal out there who's making your life worse. And three, that a belief in violence is self-defense. And there are 5 ideologies that all had these common properties to them. And in order, it's trans, Marxism, white supremacist, BLM, and radical Muslims. Now, those are 5 of them. How many of those are supported by the left-wing legacy media? I'll say that again. Trans, radical Muslims, Marxism, white supremacy, and BLM. How many of them are supported by the left-wing liberal media? 4 of them. 4 of them. Now, those ideologies are prone to have violence inside of them. So there's a reason why all of those ideologies march together, because they're all incestuous and with each other, and they believe the same thing. And YouGov did a polling, and the question that they pulled out to people was, do you generally consider it acceptable to be happy about a political figure death that you oppose? Let me say that again, because that was a little choppy. Do you consider it acceptable to be happy about a political figure's death that you oppose? 77% of Republicans say it's unacceptable. Do you know how many Democrats says it was unacceptable? 38. That tells you the difference right now. I don't think I've been watching a lot of the Senate, and you can see the difference between when the Republicans are arguing something versus when the Democrats are arguing something. Republicans tend to be very clear and concise and matter of fact and same. The Democrats tend to, every time they're answered a question, and this is so annoying for me to watch, they go, "Thank you for that question, Senator." Every time. It's like, why did you let that child molester out of jail 20 months before he should have been left out of jail? Well, thank you for the question, Senator. What I think should be stated here is that there are factors to consider that I don't have with me right now on a piece of paper. Like the amount of actual blowing smoke bullshit that happens in the Senate coming from the Democrats is mind-boggling. Mind-boggling. So this shooter was obviously a leftist and in support of his trans boyfriend. And in the last couple of years, there have been multiple trans shooters that have come out, and that doesn't seem to get much coverage from the media. So I just made a really quick list. In March 2023, the Covent school shooter murdered 6 people and raged about hating America, being raised as a girl, and wanting to kill all the white kids. And that was hidden by cops for a year. The Daily Wire actually broke that story wide open. The deranged shooter that slaughtered 2 children and injured 21 others at a Catholic school in Minneapolis, identified as a trans woman. There was a person who was sentenced to life. That was a part of the 2019 shooting at a Colorado school, told police that he targeted schoolmates who mocked his trans identity. And that shooter was born female and said that she identified as a male, and that her schoolmates called her disgusting, and that's why she shot them. There was another convicted trans shooter who was sentenced to life in prison, and there was another trans male shooter who was 26 years old who killed 3 people at a Rite Aid warehouse and then killed himself. So we know that, although, which I find ironic, the right is very big on gun rights. It's like the Second Amendment, gun rights. It's all of these left-wing trans people who are doing a lot, not all, but a lot of the shootings, which I find ironic. So the Washington Post has an abhorrent reporter, I guess, you could call her that. Her name is Elizabeth Spears. Number one, how dare you have the last name Spears, because Britney Spears is my idol and you don't deserve that last name. So she wrote, Charlie Kirk's legacy deserves no mourning. The white Christian national provocateur wasn't a promoter of civil discourse. He preached hate, bigotry, and division. She disagreed with Charlie, and therefore he didn't promote civil discourse. There are a lot of people on the mainstream parts of the left who believe that if you disagree with them, that you are inherently doing something that does not promote civil discourse, which in turn will threaten their way of life in their mind, and then in fact will promote violence. And that the violence might be just a little bit justified because you feel not safe because of what somebody else said. So you can get violent because of something somebody else said made you feel bad. No. So according to Elizabeth Spears, Charlie is an unrepentant racist, transphobe, homophobe, and misogynist. He's none of those things. Who often wraps his bigotry in Bible verses because there is no way to pretend it was morally correct. He had children, as do many vile people. So this right here is a permission structure for violence. So she has been given an outlet with the Washington Post and is pretty much saying, this is a horrible person and we are allowed to do something about it. First of all, if anyone, like I dare anyone to watch an hour of Charlie Kirk's debates, speaking, anything, and come away with the idea that he was anything but good. He was not racist, homophobic, transphobic. He was a Christian man. And in Christian law, the Bible, you don't go to heaven if you're gay. Do I believe that? No, I do not. I believe in God. I'm quasi-Christian. Do I believe that gay people won't go to heaven? No, I do not. But there are lots of religions that believe in crazy, wacky things, guys. And you know what? We have laws that let them think whatever they want to think. That's just the way the world goes. So this woman, Elizabeth Spears, says, well, you know, violence is bad, but... So she's making a permission structure for violence. And she continues, you know, I do not believe anybody should be murdered because of their views, but... So that but, like, there's that word. That is because, like, I don't believe people should be murdered generally. And this is promoted by one of the biggest outlets in America, the Washington Post. So people's reactions have been diabolical. So Montel Williams, who I used to watch when I was at home sick from school, who had the Montel Williams show, which was like the Ricky Lake show or some of those talk shows growing up. I'm sure you remember. So he talks about these text messages from the shooter and the boyfriend, and he calls it a love story. Let's watch here.
People who are trying to pigeonhole this as a leftist thing and a right thing, and what we're really talking about, hear me because I'm going to throw you when I say this, we're talking about a love-torn child, a kid. This is probably his first real relationship, and somebody was disparaging the person that he loved. He sat on that building for 30 minutes before he took the shot. Why did he wait until the first word trans came up? Then he took the shot.
You think he heard it? He could hear it?
I think he could hear it. I think he also, I don't believe he was motivated politically. I think this was motivated emotionally. I think this was a emotionally stunted person who literally, when I say it this way, just hear me, tried to defend his significant other, not trying to defend some ideology.
How absolutely abhorrent is that? This is a permission structure for violence. It's not about, you know, the violence. It's about the fact that he loved his boyfriend and he just wanted to protect him. That's fucking bullshit. If someone came into their house late at night and threatened his trans boyfriend with a gun, this would be a completely different story. And then I saw this other mom who's filming her children and she's trying to break the news to her kids that Taylor Swift got engaged. Woohoo! Congratulations, Taylor Swift. And I'm really looking forward to your album coming up October 3rd. Side note. But she says to her kids, who are, I don't know, I can't remember the video, but I'm going to show you right here, like 5 and 9. She was like, I have the best news in the world. And they're like, Donald Trump died? Here's the video.
I have the best news ever.
What? Donald Trump died?
Second best news.
The vice president died?
Okay, third best news.
That Elon Musk died?
Okay, no. Nobody died. My best friend's getting married.
Which one is it?
Taylor Swift! Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce got engaged!
This is child abuse. To indoctrinate your children to cheer about the death of anyone is, you're a horrible person. You are a horrible person. Your character is awful. You should not have children. This is child abuse. It's horrendous. There's this other woman that I'll show you the video of. It's an Asian girl that says that we need to bring back political assassinations. She doesn't feel bad. Not everybody has the free right to speech. Let's watch the video.
I was in class. My teacher said, I'll give you 5 minutes for hot takes about Charlie Kirk. I was the only person who raised their hand. I said, I've been saying we need to bring back political assassinations. I don't feel bad, and I don't think that everyone deserves the right to free speech. I think some people should be afraid to express their opinion in public. And you know what people start saying? They start saying, oh, you know what? There was a school shooting on that same day. And how can you claim to oppose school shootings and oppose gun violence when you're now celebrating Charlie Kirk dying? As if those two forms of violence are the same. The worst thing that was said in that class was that it was a shame that Charlie Kirk died because he was such a huge figure in the right-wing movement. And now who will the left debate? Now there's no one to have like productive conversations with. He used that word. Of course, everyone's saying this. They were all male students. Like, there were probably 5 or 6 male students who raised their hands right after me and just responded. So yeah, it just shows that white men will always choose to empathize with the people who look like them over any of the people who that man they're glorifying ever hurt.
This woman is a see you next Tuesday. Now, Jimmy Kimmel. I'm sure you guys have seen this footage, so I'll make it brief.
We hit some new lows over the weekend with the MAGA gang desperately trying to characterize this kid who murdered Charlie Kirk as anything other than one of them and doing everything they can to score political points from.
Jimmy Kimmel is trash. Jimmy Kimmel has been trash for a very long time. And back when it was cool to be a misogynist, which it was, when I grew up, to be like a dick to girls and like joke with them about, you stay in the kitchen where you belong, and like going behind them when they weren't looking and like fake like humping on them, like that was cool. It was a thing. It was a moment. Like if you didn't live there, you can't understand it. Okay. He was a part of that, so much so. And now to constantly be like, MAGA's doing this, lie. MAGA's doing that, lie. MAGA's doing this. So I'm obviously a fan of the First Amendment. Does Jimmy Kimmel have every right to say what he did? Yes, he does. But there are also consequences to your actions. It's only not the First Amendment if the government gets involved. If the government got involved, which would in this case would be, I believe, the FCC. If the FCC got involved, I wouldn't support that. The FCC should not get involved. The government should not get involved in something like that. But it wasn't. It was his bosses at, I believe, ABC, so he has every right to say what he wants to say, and that's his right. But consequences happen. You could get fired. You could get punched in the face. Like, these are consequences. So you can say whatever you want to say, but there are consequences. As long as those consequences aren't from the government, then your First Right Amendment has not been violated. Also, when Tucker Carlson was fired from Fox, everyone was like, woohoo, yay, oh my God, he deserves it for the things he said. So this can't go both ways, right? What about when Donald Trump's account was suspended from Twitter? Like, he's allowed to say whatever he wants. His account should not have been suspended from Twitter. They should be allowed to say whatever they want. Is it quote unquote hate speech? Maybe. But the government should I think the government should get involved when someone says, I'm going to murder you. I think that's the line. You know, if they say, I fucking hate this person's a see you next Tuesday, their political views are trash, you're ugly, like, cool, say whatever the fuck you want. The minute you say, I'm going to kill you, that's when the government should get involved. So the New York Times, one of our favorite publications, has a journalist called Peter Baker. And Peter Baker said, well, when he found out about Charlie Kirk dying, he said, well, you know, Charlie did get people riled up. And permission structure for violence. That's exactly what they're doing. Someone's screaming outside. Okay. So the New York Times just allowed Hassan Piker, who is a Twitch streamer and a horrible person in and amongst himself, to write an op-ed about Charlie Kirk. And the whole thing from top to bottom is just one big permission structure for violence, claiming that capitalism is to blame and that the war in Israel is to blame. And he has multiple times gone on his stream calling for Democrats to literally, and I quote, kill Republicans, shank Republicans, spread the guts of people who disagree with him, slice up Republicans. It doesn't matter if rapes happen on October 7th. How does this man still have a platform? And then how is New York Times again giving him a platform? He justified 9/11. He said that America deserved 9/11. He said that there was no problem with Hezbollah. If you don't know what Hezbollah is, it's a literal terrorist group in the Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Israel area, right? I'm going to talk more about Israel on another video. I don't understand how he can have a platform that says kill Republicans, and yet Charlie Kirk can say we should have a very civil discourse with each other, and when people insult him and walk away, he just says, God bless. Like, the world is so topsy-turvy. And again, this is why I'm sitting here, because I don't know what else I can do but fucking preach. Because the lies that are coming out of 50% of North America's mouths are getting weary. I am getting very angry and weary and sad. And my boyfriend's not a religious man, but the death of Charlie Kirk really affected him and changed him and me. And I've been seeing this all over the internet, where people who don't know him, people who've never watched his stuff, are so deeply affected by what happened, because they can feel, I believe at this point in time, you can feel evil. There are demons in this world who have no light behind their eyes, and they are coming forth, and we need to stop it. Moving on. People have been spreading lies about Charlie. They've been misquoting him, have many screenshots. And Erica, when she was on her husband's show a couple days after he passed away, said, and I quote, "The evildoers responsible for this assassination of my husband have no idea what they've done. They killed Charlie because he preached a message of patriotism, faith, and a message of God's merciful love. They should all know this. If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. The cries of this widow will echo like a battle cry." It literally gives me goosebumps. And it's ironic that his company was called Turning Point, because I think this is a turning point. And hopefully for many people, because we can't live like this much longer. Erica released a video of herself cradling Charlie's hand, and she tells a story of how her 3-year-old Gigi asked where her daddy is, and she said, like, What do you tell a 3-year-old? She's 3. So she said, Daddy's on a work trip with Jesus. If that doesn't move something inside of you, nothing will. Over $5 million has been raised for his family. There are 54,000 new chapters of Turning Point since he died. Chris Martin sent love to Charlie's family at his concert. Morgan Wallen sent love to Erica Kirk during his concert. People have been turning to God. People didn't know him. People who are seeing the evil in others. People are going back to church and giving their life to Jesus. And Charlie would be so proud. Megyn Kelly was supposed to go on tour with Charlie Kirk, and now Ben Shapiro. Shapiro is going to take up the tour, and Megyn is going to do all of those dates herself. And I saw Michael Knowles as well doing a tour yesterday or the day before. So the left is saying, where was this energy when the 2 Democrats were shot in June? So there was a state representative, Melissa Portman, and her husband were killed in what Tim Walz, the idiot of idiots, called a politically motivated attack. And I'm sure it was a politically motivated attack, and that's awful. You're right. Where was this energy? Because I didn't hear any of it from the left. I didn't hear any of this, oh my God, this is a politically motivated attack. I did hear some condolences from people on the right that I watch. I did hear people from the right admonishing it. And you're also right that the Republicans didn't have that energy that the left did when Charlie died. When those 2 Democrats passed away, you didn't see any videos of people celebrating. You didn't see any Republicans saying they deserved it, because that's the difference between them, between us, and I consider myself a Republican, and them. The left put out thousands of videos celebrating his death, and not one Republican did that with Melissa and her husband. What we did when Charlie died is we held vigils. We prayed. Do not become the hate that you claim to fight. So this is the left's fault. They're calling for violence. I watched this black gay Republican, which to me doesn't matter that he's black. Doesn't matter that he's gay, but it matters to everyone else. So it feels like him and me have to say that he's black and gay, because he, on the left side, is marginalized. He doesn't believe that. His name's Amir Odom. I'll link his YouTube channel below. He's wonderful. He did a video debunking all of the smears against Charlie Kirk, so I'm going to talk about that for a bit. You destroy the meanings of these words by using them nonstop, like truth matters and context matters. So some of the smears that I've seen against Charlie Kirk, it was that he said that, quote, Black women don't have the brain processing power to be taken seriously, unquote. So in reality, Charlie was talking about, in 2023, he called out, he wasn't talking about Black women in general, he was talking about 4 specific women: Michelle Obama, Ketanji Brown Jackson, Joy Reid, and Sheila Jackson Lee, who, if you know anything about these women, they are victims, they are martyrs, they are... Ketanji Brown Jackson specifically is definitely a subsection of evil, and she is, I believe, a judge, or she has some sort of power that she definitely shouldn't have. So these 4 women continually promoted anti-white, anti-Asian affirmative action policies. He was very against hiring people just for the color of their skin and not on their merit. And when these women came out, you know, they're saying, I'm only here because of affirmative race-based hiring. That's what they said. And he said, we know you do not have the brain processing power to otherwise be taken really seriously, because those 4 women are dumb. That's what he was saying. He wasn't saying Black women in general are dumb. He's saying you're dumb. And do you know what? That's okay. I think lots of people are dumb. I'm sure you think lots of people are dumb, and you're allowed to call out those people. And it just so happens that they're 4 Black women. Do you know who's one of his best friends? Candace Owens. Do you know what Candace Owens is? A Black woman. Do you know one of the smartest people that Charlie thought he ever met in his life was? Candace Owens, a black woman. She was one of his best friends for years. He hired her to go on the road with him with Turning Point and Debate, and he often praised Candace's smarts. The second lie I want to debunk about Charlie is gun rights. So there's this quote going around saying essentially that gun deaths are just what's going to happen. If you have a Second Amendment, then, you know, it's unfortunate, but gun deaths are going to happen. Taken out of context. So what he was saying, and I'll play you the clip here, but I'm going to say it first. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price, and it's worth it. People saying that he deserved that he got shot because he was advocating for gun rights is insane. Do you know why he wanted gun rights? It was the same reason they put that as the Second Amendment in the Constitution. It's in case the government becomes tyrannical. And if the left is thinking that the government is already tyrannical, then why aren't they cheering for the Second Amendment? They need the opportunity to defend themselves against this tyrannical government. I think a lot of what the left believes also is that if we took away gun rights, then a lot of these school shootings wouldn't happen. And that's just not true, because statistically, most school shootings don't happen with a registered gun anyways. You know, they're from guns that people buy on the streets. So there's a difference to protect yourself in personal safety and protect yourself from a tyrannical government, and also advocating for political assassinations to take place. Like, this was just an attempt to silence the movement that Charlie was behind. And unfortunately, bad people get guns and hurt people. Here's the clip.
Let's be honest with the population. Having an armed citizenry comes with a price. And that is part of liberty. Driving comes with a price. 50,000 people die on the road every year. That's a price. You get rid of driving, you'd have 50,000 less auto fatalities. But we have decided that the benefit of driving, speed, accessibility, mobility, having products, services, is worth the cost of 50,000 people dying on the road. Wow. So we need to be very clear that you're not going to get gun deaths to zero. It will not happen. Right. You can significantly reduce them through having more fathers in the home, yes, by having more armed guards in front of schools. Yes. Yes. We should have an honest and clear reductionist view of gun violence, but we should not have a utopian one. You will never live in a society when you have an armed citizenry and you won't have a single gun death. That is nonsense. It's drivel. Wow. But I think it's worth it. I think it's worth to have a cost of, unfortunately, some gun deaths every single year, so that we can have the Second Amendment to protect our other God-given rights. That is a prudent deal. It is rational. Nobody talks like this. They live in a complete alternate universe.
Next, people think he's, what's the word I'm looking for? Homophobic.
You're white, you're privileged, you're Christian. How can you argue these things when you don't understand what, like, an oppressed individual, like, you know, is going through?
White privilege is a myth and a lie and should be completely destroyed. It's rooted in racism. It is a racist idea. It is a racist idea. Why don't they ever talk about Asian American privilege? Asian Americans were widely discriminated against in the 1940s and 50s. We treated them horribly and put them in internment camps. Then through a series of decades of making good choices, they've now become the richest per capita subracial group in America. I never hear about Asian American privilege. I never hear about people getting so upset that all the Asian Americans are getting the PhDs or the degrees or all the good jobs in California, yet they're trying to target white people. Here comes the basis of it. If they're trying to balkanize this country and break us into different subracial groups, that is the definition of racism. They say, oh, you don't understand me because you're a white, privileged Christian. Well, isn't that exactly what the definition of racism is?
First of all, I don't understand why people use this word homophobic. It means you're afraid of gay people. True homophobic people aren't afraid of gay people. They're, I would assume, disgusted by them or something. Like, I don't know. I consider myself to be a part of the LGBTQ community. I don't like saying that. I'm the B. I'm bisexual. But I don't like a lot of the radical swing it's taken in the last 10 years. So I'm going to play this clip of Charlie being challenged by like a hardcore Christian at his talk. And Charlie's Christian. Like, so this is about why Charlie accepts gay people. And Charlie says that Jesus had dinner with prostitutes, and it's part of being Christian by accepting people but being firm in your beliefs and leading them to God and not to judge. He specifically says that. Do not judge. And there are so many gay members of Turning Point USA. As, you know, people like Ben Shapiro, who are stoutly religious people, I think their views would be different if they weren't stoutly religious. Their religion tells them to not allow gay marriage. So he says, Ben Shapiro says that he doesn't care. He doesn't care. Do whatever you want. The thing is, as a religious person, I think marriage should be between a man and a woman. And what blows my mind about people calling people homophobic is that a lot of the people who are saying Charlie Kirk is homophobic are also Free Palestine. And yet Palestinians, Muslims, Hamas, Hezbollah would kill you for being gay. Would literally kill you for being gay. How does that make sense? Make it make sense.
So we found a video of Charlie Kirk actually going off on a real racist. Check out this clip.
I want to ask a question of you. What does it mean to be an American? Is it an idea or a history, a shared history, or is it a skin color?
Well, I mean, you could go back to the original founding fathers, the Immigration Act of, I believe it was,
what does it mean to be an American? Is it a skin color or something else?
So there's the current idea of what it means according to, the Hart-Celler Immigration Act and, all this bullshit that you guys spew. But if you go back to the original founding fathers, they intended this to be a European nation for white men of good stock and character. Yeah.
So, can you show me, let me answer the question. Can you show me where in the United States Constitution it says that?
It wasn't in the Constitution.
It wasn't in the Constitution because they didn't believe it.
The founding...
You, sir, they did not put it in the United States Constitution. Let me answer another question. Let me ask you another question since you support. Allow him to have the mic. Let me ask you another question,
founding
sir.
Fathers wrote many
what
other
does the
documents
phrase,
other than the United
sir,
States Constitution, and they made it
sir,
explicitly clear that
what does the phrase e pluribus unum mean? What does the phrase e pluribus unum mean?
Why is that relevant?
Because it was on every founding document and presidential seal from our founding, which means out of many, one. You, sir, and your ideology is not conservative. It is right-wing, identitarian, and has no place in the conservative movement, my friend. Get out of line! Get out of line! USA! 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 USA!
Charlie was a great brother, far from racist. He just wanted equality. And I, for one, feel blessed that God allowed him to be with us for 31 years.
So I do not have hate for a group. I do not have hate for a people. I have hate
just so I can get it on my camera. So Instagram,
don't worry, we
hi.
got plenty of cameras, but yeah.
But yes, so you do not hate the LGBT community,
No,
and Turning Point is not against LGBT.
No, how could I hate that which I have a heart for?
Thank you.
And I might not agree at that for some of the lifestyle choices that some people make. But of course not. And if someone said, Charlie, what's your view on marriage? I say, I believe marriage is between one man and one woman. But if you ask me, what do I have hate in my heart for somebody that doesn't choose the lifestyle that I believe that God laid out in the scriptures? Of course not.
I got a question.
Sure. What was your name again? I'm sorry.
I don't think I told you. My name's Mercury.
Nice to meet you. Well, nice to re-meet you, I should say.
What do you hope to get out of this? Why are you here?
Okay, I've been asked that question a lot. First of all, that question should not even have to be asked, but when people stop talking, really bad stuff starts. When marriages stop talking, divorce happens. When church starts happening, they fall apart. When civilizations stop talking, civil war ensues. When you stop having a human connection with someone you disagree with, it becomes a lot easier to want to commit violence against that group. Whether it be the great genocide, the horrible genocides of the last 100 years, People stop talking with each other because they lose their humanity. I wish we could be here without having my hat thrown off and stuff, but what we as a culture have to get back to is being able to have reasonable disagreement where violence is not an option. Your father peddles lies. I'm not a white supremacist. Honestly, shame on him. For someone that runs an organization called Blexit, do you even know what Blexit is?
I do not.
It's literally, we employ 40 black Americans that work in Atlanta, Chicago, and Philadelphia trying to improve the well-being of inner-city black America. What has your father ever done for inner-city black America other than call me a white supremacist? And by the way, secondly, it's just so ridiculous. It's like, it's somehow...
people for your companies or whatever you do does not make you a white supremacist.
What is a white supremacist?
A white supremacist is somebody who takes advantage and believes that they are higher than everybody else.
Do I believe that?
I have no idea.
Okay, exactly. And so there's no evidence whatsoever, and yet people go around sloppily saying, you're a racist, you're a white supremacist. It is so destructive to our dialogue. It's destructive to us coming together as a country, and there's nothing to support it whatsoever. So thank you for your time, and shame on your father for peddling that crap.
If you see a black person in a position, or minority or whatever, the assumption is that that person is not qualified. When literally, and you have to be qualified in order to even to get in that position.
Well, so let's take college admissions. So this is a great example. At Harvard, we learned because of new revealed documents that black students were having test scores that were 30 to 35% lower than their white counterparts.
Okay.
And so, therefore, if you saw a black kid at Harvard, it's a fact that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterparts.
Still doesn't matter. The kid has to get through. He's got to get through the classes, do the tests, do all the research.
Well, they actually
pass
drop out
everything.
at a greater rate too. But the point being is, just the idea that they were there, number one, took a spot from an otherwise qualified individual that might be white. And they were not there on the same merits. So what we want is the same rules for everybody.
You're making the assumption that they're not qualified in order to get in. In order to even get there,
it's not
be
the
considered.
assumption. It's the data. So, for example, it's literally at Harvard, you had kids with perfect SAT scores, perfect ACT scores that were white.
So that makes a degree from Harvard worthless then.
Well, you're exactly right. Yeah, actually, Harvard's degree is becoming more worthless because it's more race-based than merit-based. You're exactly right.
Another lie was that Charlie Kirk was a transphobe.
You're part of the problem, I think, with the hatred on trans people. It's really not that deep. Like, if someone wants to dress up however they want, that's totally fine.
Okay, so
and I think
I'm
that's
not
where the
preventing
hatred
you. I'm
comes
not
from.
preventing you from dressing up like this. However, let me ask you a question. I will flush this out. So let's pretend you say you are a woman.
Let's pretend.
I know you are a man, but I refuse to call you a woman.
Okay.
Who's the hateful one?
I would say you are. I mean, I wouldn't.
So
I
you're
wouldn't
going to
appreciate
force
it.
me and shame
I'm not
me?
forcing
No,
you
hold
to
on a
do
second.
anything, man.
I'm the hateful one.
It's really just like common courtesy.
It is never
that much
common
effort?
courtesy to lie. You do
Okay.
not become a thing just because you say it, you are the thing.
So-
And guess what? Nobody in the history of the species that was born XX or born XY and transitioned is able to change their chromosomes. Every
Yeah.
one of your cells is coded either XX or XY.
But
And
that's
it is an
where-
insult to women everywhere in this audience and across the country that's saying that you could just have wear makeup and dress like a woman, undergo surgery, that you magically become a woman. And
I think that's fine.
it is the abolition of women and is the
Yeah.
abolition of reality. And we see great unjust human suffering because of it.
I'm going to show you this clip, but he thanks a trans person for coming out, and he gently says, be very cautious about putting drugs in your body, and he tells them that he will pray for them and he wants them to be comfortable in how they were born, and that you don't have to wage war on your body, you can love it. And this is a respectful and a calm way of telling them how they feel. I have nothing against trans people. If you want to be trans, don't care. But as long as you're an adult. As long as you're 18 or over, do whatever you want. Anything under 18, you shouldn't legally be given puberty blockers. You shouldn't be allowed to get a double mastectomy. You shouldn't be allowed to have your penis chopped off. You shouldn't be allowed under 18 to medically change your body until you're an adult. That's my belief. I have a trans friend. Love her. She's great. I think what's unfortunate about the trans movement is that there is a subsection of mentally ill people who have infiltrated the trans society, and all that is a sexual predilection. And I think it's unfortunate because I think there are real trans people who were born in a biological male body who want to be a woman, who are born in a biological female body that want to be a man, and when they're adults they can do what they want to do and live their life how they want to live, and bingo bango boom, be happy. But there is this small subsection of mentally ill perverts, and it just so happens that the trans community, unfortunately for some reason, is a place that they can hide. So people get worried about that. I don't think it's transphobic. Again, nobody's afraid of trans people. Well, maybe people are, but not me. Let's play this footage.
Are you comfortable telling me your story? Or
I'm scared too because I don't know what's true, what's not. Would this help me? That's
so
I'm in the same.
tell me.
Since like 3rd grade, and I'm currently 19, almost 20. I have known basically since then. I didn't start going by like a different name until 7th and 8th grade. So and ever since then, I have been comfortable in my skin. I just don't know, like, with the whole medical stuff, like what's true, what's not, what's helpful, because I've heard so many different opinions from so many different people. So I just want to get like your side.
Well, first of all, thank you so much for that.
Yeah, of course.
So I'm going to have an opinion that very few people will ever tell you. And I want you to think about it and pray about it, which is I want you to be very cautious putting drugs into your system in the pursuit of changing your body. I instead encourage you to work on what's going on in your brain first. I think what you need first and foremost is just a diagnosis. Just someone that is going to listen to what you've gone through, listen to what else is going on. And so my prayer for you is to understand that once you start to go on the path of altering your body, there's no end to that sort of those interventions. But instead, finding peace in your brain, and even beyond that, trying to find peace in your soul.
I also think that forcing people to participate in a lie is hateful. Like, it is the truth that men cannot become women and women cannot become men. That's just facts. Like, it's an insult to women to say that. Like, it's not transphobic. It's the truth. Like, can't you be happy being trans? Like, saying I'm a trans woman. Great. Oh my God, good for you. That's so special and wonderful. Like, you have your own lived truth, lived whatever, that is so unique and your story and wonderful. Like, it doesn't erase the fact that you were a biological male or female to start. That's a part of your story. So don't use violence or stronghold people into lying about biology, because that's insanity. And being trans is its own thing. Like, if you're a real trans person and you transition and end up on the other side happier in your body, like, that's cool. You know, I will call my trans friends what they want to be called, but I also believe that you can't give a 14-year-old double mastectomies. Like, Chloe Cole, like, was 14 or 15 when doctors let her cut her own boobs off, and now she's detransitioned. Like, that's heartbreaking. Like, I grew up as a tomboy, and I know that if I grew up as a tomboy in this day and age, people would be like, you're trans, and I'd be so confused, and that's not good for anyone. Okay, another lie that we are debunking about Charlie Kirk: racism. So when I went to go look into videos that show that Charlie Kirk wasn't racist, like, I go on like TikTok and I'm like, Charlie Kirk, racist. There were hundreds. There are too many. Like, there's also this generation of Black Americans that are in this much better place than before. Like, Black Americans now are the richest per capita than anywhere else in the world. Like, there's not a Black majority country that is richer than Black Americans. So I think his point is that he wants people to stop acting like a victim and to make better choices. In 2018, he hosted events like the Young Black Leaders event, and he brought hundreds of Black kids to the White House and had speeches and events, and he was part of founding organization like Blexit, which I think is a cool name, giving young Black kids school supplies, trips, mentors, events, rides. And the reason that people think people on the right are racist, Charlie Kirk included, is because we don't believe in affirmative action. So if you don't know what affirmative action is, it's policies and procedures and practices in organization and government that assumes that minorities have been systemically oppressed, and it gives them a leg up, increasing representation of their minority and their race in employment and in education. So here's an example. Harvard College admissions. So the world learned through documents that had been released probably about 5 years ago that Black students were let into Harvard with 30 to 35% lower test scores than their white counterparts. Therefore, if you saw a Black person at Harvard, it had been proven that they were not having the same test standards as their white counterpart. Like, it's more racist to like lower the test scores based on their skin color, don't you think? Like, it's a handout based on the assumption that depending on your race, like, you can't do as well. You're not as smart. So we have to lower the score. So it's like equal. Like, that's horrible. That's racism. Saying because of your skin color, you obviously can't get into Harvard. So we're going to make the bar a little lower just for you because obviously you're stupid. Like, crazy. It's more racist to lower the standards of tests. So I've been watching hours of these videos, and they've made me realize that Charlie Kirk had the patience of a fucking saint. I would be so irritated and so mad at these people. He's just like calmly talking to people, blah, 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 blah. You know, this fact, this fact, this fact. And they are interrupting him and screaming at him and calling him slurs. And he's just like, and then talking and then giving a fact. And then like, I think a huge part of what makes this so sad, other than the fact that he got murdered because of his political beliefs, is that he's not going to be able to do that anymore. Like, he helped President Trump win by going to campuses all across the country and registering kids to vote and changing people's minds to vote Republican rather than Democrat. Like, and he could have been president, you know, and it's really sad. And like, the amount of shock that I thought that I couldn't be shocked anymore. You know, like, I've had so many things in my life that were just like shocking, you know, and I've said 20 times to people before, nothing shocks me anymore. This reaction of the left towards Charlie Kirk's assassination has shocked me. People have blinded themselves to the truth, to the facts, to the reality. They do not want to see. They're like, and I went through like a complete unfollow block thing on my Facebook and my Instagram because I cannot, like, a part of me wants to engage with that, but there's no reasoning with these people. It is literal insanity, demon, psycho insanity. So here I am doing what I can do, what I feel I am called to do for Charlie. And I'm going to try to do as much as I can. You know, I have wild dreams and designs. I've wanted to, you know, be an Oscar award-winning actress my whole life, and now I'm like, or should I be prime minister, right? Or should I do that? Because that might be more important, and our prime minister's a fucking tool. More on Mark Carney another time. I gotta do a video of that because he's been sending money to Hamas. So stay tuned for next time. Thank you so very much for joining me. Thank you if you stayed this long. I'm so grateful and so full of love for all of you, and I ask that you continue with me on this journey. Much love. Bye.